Welcome to our today's lesson. We want to learn something in mathematics, and this is just a continuation of what we have been learning. You remember in our previous lesson, we had started looking at percentages. We defined percentages, and we looked at a few things. And today we want to narrow down and look at applications of percentages. And I would like us to know that these percentages have a very wide range of applications. And maybe, as I had mentioned in our previous lessons, that if prices of goods and commodities are increased by a certain percentage, we create a profit to the seller. And if the same prices are reduced, we might end up getting a discount on the side of the buyer, or the seller can incur a loss. So these percentages are actually arising from the cost price and the selling price. In essence, what we are saying is that if the difference between selling price will give us a profit. If the selling price is greater than the cost price. And in the event that we get to have the selling price being less than the cost price, we end up making what we call a loss. And sometimes the selling price might be adjusted a bit to attract more customers. This will give us what we call a discounted price. And this price does not mean that the seller makes a loss, but it is just a reduction. Yes, the seller will be making a profit, but the profit is not as big as it should have been. So we will also be looking at what we call discounted price. This is what we call reduction of the selling price by a given percentage. Having said that, I want us now to move on and look at how to calculate profits and percentage profits. And remember that our profits is equal to the selling price minus the cost price. The selling price minus the cost price. And I hope you also remember what we mean by the term the selling price, and also what we mean by the term the cost price. Maybe just to elaborate or to remind you, this selling price, or let us start by the cost price. The cost price is the price at which items are bought at with the intention of selling the same items much later, having increased the price by a certain percentage so that we can make a profit. While the selling price is basically that price at which these commodities now are sold at, so that a certain profit can be made, and that will sustain the seller in the business. We will illustrate this using examples so that we can get to understand exactly what we mean by these three terminologies, that is profit, the selling price, and the cost price. And our first example we can talk of the cost price of a new car is $24,780 and is sold at $27,600. Of first question that we need to answer, this is question A. We are required to calculate the profit. We are required to calculate the profit. And the second question is, we calculate the percentage profit. Percentage profit is basically an expression of profit in percentage form. When we are solving this question, we have the steps that we need to follow, or some things that we need to identify so that they will help us to solve this particular question. Remember, we have the guiding rule. This expression of profit is equal to the selling price minus the cost price. Is basically the guiding rule. So we need to identify these two. First of all, after identifying them, then we might substitute the same in our expression. And lastly, we will proceed with solving so that we can get the profit. So in the first question, that is calculation of profit. In calculation of the profit, we have the steps to follow. The first one is for us to identify the selling price and the cost price. Our second step is for us to write down the guiding rule. We write down the guiding rule. It is very important that you start from that particular point. You write down the guiding rule before you substitute in the variables, before you solve them. And our last step substitute. And solve. So if we follow these particular steps in this particular example that we have, we will have the following. Our selling price, which is actually equal to $27,600. Our cost price, which is 24,000. $780. Our second step is to write down the guiding rule, which states that profit is equal to the selling price, the difference between the selling price and the cost. And our third step is for us to substitute in the values and solve. So that means our profit will be equal to our selling price, which is $27,600 minus $24,780. When you subtract this, you can arrange them in column form. So for easier subtraction, if you don't have the calculator, zero minus 0, it will give us a 0. We have a 0 minus 8, it is not possible. So we carry 1 from 6. This 1 will be placed here so that we have a 10. 10 minus 8, we will get 2. Remember, after borrowing 1 from 6, we remained with 5. When we try to subtract 7 from 5, is not possible. So we need to borrow from the next column. So we borrow 1 from 7 so that it will give us here 15. 15 minus 7, it will give us 8. And we remained with 6 here. 6 minus 4, it will give us 2. And of course, 2 minus 2, it will give us a 0. So the difference between the selling price and the cost price will be $2,820. This is our profit. This is what we call profit. And the second question was for us to calculate the percentage profit. Percentage profit. And as I had said, that this percentage profit is basically an expression of the profit in percentage form. Where are we getting this profit? This is something extra above the cost price. So for us to get the percentage profit, this means we are going to have the profit all over the cost price of a given commodity. In this case, it is a new car. We multiply by 100% so that we can express it in percentage form. And our profit up there is $2,820. And the cost price is $24,780. We multiply this by 100%. We can use a calculator to solve this, or we can do it manually. And remember, when we are doing it manually, you cancel the zeros first so that you have smaller numbers. And if you carve out this particular expression carefully, you will get you will get 11.38%. This answer has been rounded off to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. So the profit that this car dealer makes after selling this particular new car is 11.38%. Let us look at other examples. And the example that I'm going to give you, they're in form of a table with several columns and rows that we need to fill in. When you look at these columns, in the first column, we will be having our cost price. The second column is the selling price. The third column is the profit, and lastly, we will need to calculate the percentage profit. Maybe let me just partition them. In the first case, the cost price of an item is $10 and the selling price is actually $16. This is $240 and its equivalent selling price is $300. In the next row, we have $15 and $18. And lastly, we have $250 and $280. So we need to calculate, if at all the cost price is 10 and the selling price is 16, are we able to get the profit? We will start with the first row. Remember, we said profit is basically the difference between the selling price and the cost price. So this will be $16 subtract $10, and our profit automatically 16 minus 10, this is $6. So we come and fill this particular box here. Our profit is $6. Then from that, we need to calculate the percentage profit. And we have said percentage profit will be equal to the profit all over the cost price multiplied by 100%. This will give us our profit. In this case is, we check in the profit column, which is $6, and our cost price we check in the cost column, which is $10. We multiply by 100%. We can cancel this 0 and this one. Then we multiply 6 by 10. This will give us 60%. So this 60% is our percentage profit after buying an item at $10 and selling the same item at $16. We make a profit of 60%. Okay, let us look at the second. Our profit is equal to the selling price minus the cost price, and our selling price this time around is $300 minus $240. This will give us a profit of $60. And it is from this particular profit that we can be able to calculate our percentage profit. Percentage profit, as we have said in the first example, will be equal to profit all over the cost price multiplied by 100%. Basically expressing our profit in form of a percentage. This will give us, this time around, our profit is actually $60 and our cost price is $240. This should be multiplied by 100%. We can cancel the zeros so that we can have $60 multiplied by 10%, do everything divided by 24. When we do this, $60 multiplied by 10, it will give us, this dollar and dollar will cancel, so we will have 600% divided by 24. We want to divide 600 by 24. When this is done, this will give us a 25% profit. Let us move on and look at another example. That is the third row. Our selling price is $18 and our cost price is $15. So our profit will be $18 minus $15, giving us $3 as our profit. And our percentage profit will be our profit all over the cost price multiplied by 100%. Remember always to write down the guiding principle upon which you are going to solve that particular problem that you have. This will be equal to $3 out of the cost price, which is $15, expressed as a percentage. 3 into 3, 1, 3 into 15, 5. 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 100, 20 times. This gives us 20% profit. And lastly, our last example, we have our selling price as $280, while our cost price is $250. So this will be the difference between the $280 and the $250. This will give us a profit of $30. And our percentage profit is the profit that we have got all over the cost price expressed as a percentage. This will be equal to $30 all over $250 multiplied by 100%. 0 and 0. 25 into 25, 125 goes into 100 4 times. This will give us 3 multiplied by 4%. This will give us 12%. So our percentage profit will be 12%. And by now, I hope that you have gotten an idea on how we can be able to calculate the profit given the cost price and the selling price. And we can also be able to calculate our percentage profit. That is expressing our profit in form of a percentage. Let us now look at a second scenario where the selling price is less than the cost price. I know you might be wondering, how can that happen? That you own a store, or you are a car dealer, you are in the business of making profit, and you end up making a loss. This is very simple. We are human and we can make mistakes. And this is just a scenario whereby this, if I might use the first example that we had, this car dealer buys that particular car at $24,780, and he or she discovers much later that the same car stocked by other dealers is going at a price that is much less than even the cost price. What do we do? Do we close shop? No. That is just a mistake. As much as it has costed us, or it has made the car dealer to incur some losses, they will have to continue with business, hoping for a better day later. So that one leads us to calculating losses and the percentage loss. I will illustrate this using an example of that car dealer. And before we look at that example, what we need to know is that for us to make a loss, the selling price is usually less than the cost price. So the difference between the cost price and the selling price is what gives us a loss. In this case, we are only going to look at 2 examples. And our first example is where the price of a new car is at $24,780. After stocking, the car dealer discovered that the same model is going at $24,000. That is the highest price that this particular car can fetch in the market. So the questions are: calculate the loss, and the second question is for us to calculate the percentage loss. And as we had said earlier, we need to identify the variables in this particular guiding rule: the cost price and the selling price. Then we also apply the steps that we had when we were looking at the profits and the percentage profit. So the first step is for us to identify the cost price, and in this case our cost price is $24,780, and our selling price, the price at which this particular vehicle is going to be sold at, is just $24,000. Our second step, we need to write down the guiding rule, which is the loss is equal to the cost price minus the selling price. And our third step, we need to substitute in the values and solve. That is, our loss will be equal to, our cost price is actually $24,780, subtract $24,000. This difference is what we call the loss. And $24,780, when you subtract $24,000, this will give us $780. This is the loss. Let us look at how we can calculate the percentage loss. This loss is equal to, this percentage loss is equal to the loss out of the cost price multiplied by 100%. And our loss is $780. Our cost price is $24,000, $24,780 expressed as a percentage by multiplying it by 100. When you multiply $780 multiplied by 100%, then you divide by 24,780. This will give us a percentage loss of 3.15%. This figure has been rounded off to 2 decimal places. This figure is so long with so many decimal places, so we have decided to round it off to 2 decimal places. This is what we have. Let us look at our last example on calculating losses and percentage loss. A person who sells meat buys a meat seller buys an animal at $800. After slaughtering and selling the meat, he manages to make $600 calculate the loss and the percentage loss. In our solution, we are required to make sure that we have calculated the loss and also expressed the same loss in form of a percentage. And our steps dictates that we identify the cost price and the selling price. Our cost price is $800 and our selling price is $600. Our second step requires us to write down the guiding rule, that is loss is equal to cost price minus the selling price and our third step requires us to substitute in the values and solve. $800 minus $600. This will give us a loss of $200. This is a very big loss. Then we need to calculate the percentage loss or express the same in form of a percentage. Percentage loss is equal to the loss itself all over the cost price expressed as a percentage by multiplying by 100. This will give us $200 out of $800 multiplied by 100%. This and this will cancel with that. This will give us 200% divided by 8. Eight goes into 20 two times, that is 16, remainder 4. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So the percentage loss will be 25%. Percentage loss will be 25%. So in summary, what we have learned in this particular lesson, we have learned how to calculate profit and percentage profit, and also how to calculate losses and percentage loss. So it is good that we remember that profits are the difference between the selling price and the cost price. Always remember that. That is the first thing that we have learned. And from this, we have also learned another thing, that percentage profit is actually equal to the profit that we have made out of the cost price. The profit, basically profit expressed as a percentage, which is the profit all over the cost price multiplied by 100%. It is also very important that we remember this. The third formula that we have learned is how to get the loss. That in the event that the cost price becomes more than the selling price, then we make a loss. And this loss will be the difference between the cost price and the selling price. That is another thing that we need to remember. And lastly, we have also learned that for us to calculate percentage loss, we are basically expressing this loss as a percentage. So this will be the loss all over the cost price multiplied by 100%. So for us to get the profit, the selling price is greater than the cost price. And for us to make a loss, the cost price is greater than the selling price. These are the two scenarios that we have when we are doing business, or that are encountered by people doing businesses. And it is their desire that they always make a profit, but sometimes they can make a loss. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. And in our next lesson, we will be looking at how to find the selling price. How to find the selling price of a given commodity if we are given a discount. Thank you and welcome in our next lesson.